Welcome to the Cardboard Crash Course. My name's Ethan, and this is the Twilight Imperium channel, and I'm so excited for you to watch this today. This is an interview that I did just this last week with Dane Beltrami, the lead designer of Twilight Imperium Fourth Edition, and it's an interview all about the Thunder's Edge expansion coming to TI4. I have 10 questions set up for him, and 3 of those questions are all about new components, including a new faction that you'll get to see firsthand for the first time ever here on the Cardboard Crash Course, which is so exciting. But you know what's just as exciting? Over on the Space Cats Peace Turtles podcast, at the exact same moment that this video is being uploaded, they're showing off a new faction as well. So I heavily incentivize you to put 2 screens up and watch us at the same time, because there's a lot going on over there, and you're not able to listen to it if you're watching this. There's so much exciting stuff coming at you all right in this very moment for Twilight Imperium, and I'm so excited for you to watch this. Before we get into it, I do have one thing to say though. If you want to support Cardboard Crash Course and our venture into Twilight Imperium with this TI channel, the best way to support us and tell us that you care is by becoming a YouTube channel member. I want to thank you all for considering, and I'm going to put all of the channel members up on screen, and a special thank you to Chandler, who is our one and only current Cardboard Crash Course professor. Thank you so much for your support. Now, whether you're a YouTube channel member or not, I want to just say thank you for watching this video, subscribing, and supporting the Cardboard Crash Course, and make sure you go over and support Space Cats Peace Turtles, because it's happening right now. If you're watching this, that means it's up. Go watch it now, go watch it, go watch it! Welcome, Dane, to the Cardboard Crash Course. How are you?
Doing good. How are you?
Good. It's nice to have you back on. I'm a little bit
it's
less
good to be back.
nervous this time. Like, I was super nervous the first time to chat with you, and now I feel like we're friends now, or buddies.
Excellent.
Well, I have 10 questions that I have for you, and I already screened them with you, so you already know kind of what you're going to say, but I have a surprise question 0, which is, how excited are you from 1 to 10 about Thunder's Edge?
I mean, oh geez, it waxes and wanes because I mean I've been finished with Thunder's Edge since like February or something like that. I don't know the exact month, but it was a while back. So sometimes I'll get really excited and then the reality of time will kick in and it will just like disappear off my radar, and then I'll see people getting excited again and then I'll get amped up again. So it comes and goes. Let's go with it's still a little bit away, so I'll go with an 8 or a 9.
Okay. Well, my excitement has been at 10 since like the moment it was announced. But maybe I'm just more of a psychopath about it than you.
No, I get that way about things. It's just, not something that I've like worked on specifically. Like
Right.
it never quite reaches that 10 until the moment that it's released. And then I'm really excited because I want to see what people are saying about it.
Well,
I
I
want,
hear
I want
you're
to see
like
all the soul crushing comments.
I hear you're a huge Final Fantasy fan, so like it's like when a new Final Fantasy game comes out, I'm kind of the same way about it.
Yep. Yep. I definitely. Yep.
Yep. So I think that we just kind of jump into it and we build off of that. And I don't want to leave the people waiting because we have a couple of things to show off as
Yeah.
part of this interview. So on my first interview with you, we talked a little bit more about your build up to be in part of the Twilight Imperium universe and how you got to the position you are. So we're kind of just only focusing on Thunder's Edge this time around. So if you're ready, I'm going to jump into question 1.
Sounds good. Hit me.
What the heck is this new anomaly, and why is it so scary looking? We see it on the game box. It looks freaky, and I have no idea what it could possibly do.
So the new anomaly or anomalies, there are more than one tiles that contain this anomaly, is called entropic scar.
Okay.
And it's thematically some maybe leftover bits from all that what was it called? The entropic field harvesting or whatever that the Nazroka developed tech for. I can't wait for Absol to see this and be like, "What is he talking about? He doesn't know what he's talking about."
Wait, I thought everything that you said is just like it just becomes fact.
So the problem is that I say a lot of things, and they're not always correct. Sometimes I get them confused with things I've thought or things I've read. It's really just a mess. You don't. It's not great. But yes. So the entropic scar is an area of space that basically disables all unit abilities. Which is to say, like anti-fighter barrage or production or space cannon. It doesn't disable like your standard text abilities, but anything that's in that all caps bolded keyword text is just gone. So,
Okay.
Sustained damage, etc. It also prevents, I believe, like wormholes from being placed in it. So they just can't be, and any that would be are just discarded. It's kind of just like a null space. So that's part of the entropic scar. That's like part 1.
Okay. I actually have it up in front of me because you sent them to me to read off while you were kind of talking about.
I did.
I hate correcting the Lord of TI on his own game, but production I don't think is turned off. Wait. No, it is. Never mind. Production is turned off. Okay, which one was the one that was not turned off?
Just text abilities. So
that's like text abilities. Okay, never mind.
Things that aren't bolded.
I'm wrong.
And everything else is bolded. It's okay. It's okay. You can be forgiven for not knowing the mechanics of the cards that aren't out yet.
Right.
The best part about that is actually me briefly being like, "Oh, is production not turned off?"
No,
like
yeah, maybe we just play it. Yeah, that's the CCC meta. We're just gonna play it that way.
Yep.
Okay. But you told me it was a 2-parter?
It was a 2-parter. Yep. So the second part is that if you have the controlling presence in the space area of Entropic Scar at the start of the status phase, you can spend a token from strategy to gain one of your faction techs. So, which is to say, skipping any possible prereqs.
That is wild.
Basically, it is a place that you want to be the one with a controlling interest in at the end of the round, because you can use that to kind of skip ahead. It's quite good.
Yeah,
it's quite good.
And there's no restrictions on entropic stars as far as like building the map or anything goes. So like an entropic scar could just randomly end up in front of somebody's home system at the start of the game.
Yep. I mean, it has the same restrictions as any other hazard does, but other than that, it's a red border system. But yeah, beyond that, so it kind of lures people to want to control it, bring those big ships in, and then they lose sustained damage. So they're just like,
right,
targets then for people to want to move. Like, oh, maybe I can beat them. I just gotta get lucky. So it's kind of like a dangerous risk to hold it with a quite potentially good reward if you can afford the token and potential loss of ships / making you a target. Yeah, it should help. It should make for some interesting games, because you'll be able to jump to some of those deep faction techs fast.
Right. So I have to ask then, was the goal of Thunder's Edge kind of to, I don't want to say like speed up the game, but to give people some of their like power earlier?
Yeah, so there's the well-known phenomenon that Prophecy of Kings games err on the side of about the same playtime, maybe a little bit longer, but a full like round less, which means that's like a round that you're not getting to experience that deep tech with.
Right.
So it's harder to get and have that stuff. So I kind of wanted to make there be new tech paths to get deeper faster, and also something like Entropic Scar where it's not just deeper faster, but it's also a little unpredictable. Like you won't necessarily have access to an Entropic Scar, so that's like a big advantage for you, or maybe an advantage that you need to keep from an opponent. And uh, I like to encourage the fighting. So
Right.
the reality, of course, is it will probably just turn into another thing that people try to trade and boat float each other, and then get mad about in round 5, where they're just like, "Oh, so and so ran away with the game," but
No, and I'm
that's
not
fine.
going to throw shade at anyone in particular, because I love everybody in the community. But that sounds like somebody else's meta. The
Yeah,
the cardboard
yeah,
crash course meta is cutthroat. We
yes, good,
we interact.
excellent.
We destroy. We play by the
I'll,
intention, the intended rules.
I'm excited. Um, yeah, so that's kind of like the Entropic Scar.
Yeah.
There's one with a planet, I believe.
Okay. I think is that
And
the one
then
we saw
there's
at the back of the box?
possibly.
Okay.
And then there's one with nothing else. So just an empty system.
So just
You
the
can
two of them?
maybe yeah, you can maybe find Mirage there or something. I believe it's just the two. I don't have my stuff
Mm-hmm.
perfectly handy at the moment, so I can't double check. But there are at least 2 Entropic Scars that you could feasibly have in a game.
Okay. That's exciting.
Yeah,
I like it
yeah,
kind of almost reminds me of the legendary planet Styx that we get to see in the
yeah,
reveal, where it's just like more stuff, like you said, to interact, like
yeah,
encouraging
yeah.
interaction and not just combat, but just like any sort of player interaction.
I like anomalies. I wanted it. It was hard to come up with a new one, and I hope that this one kind of is more of an effect
Yeah.
than like the way that I imagined Nebulas working in the base game was not at all how they ended up kind of being uh, in the actual game. Like they kind of ended up just being a block, like a place that nobody goes unless it's uh, in the POK one, Avera, in which case somebody goes there and probably nobody else ever enters it again if they can avoid it. But
Well,
yeah, so
yeah.
I hope this is I hope it's more of an effect on the map. Uh, I guess.
Hmm. And how are you gonna deal with people's OCD of it not being on the quick reference sheet? I'm just kidding.
That's
It's just
a
it's
good
just
question. That is a good question. There isn't a quick reference sheet, but Thunder's Edge does have a Thunder's Edge quick reference card
okay.
for the table that does have this information on it, along with other handy information for Thunder's Edge processes, neutral unit stats, that kind of stuff.
Cool. Yeah, I was kind
Yeah,
of always wondering if if there was another expansion, if we'd have like another board or something that would attach.
yeah, no, no,
not that it
no,
was
yeah, no,
necessary. I wasn't looking forward to it. I was just wondering.
yeah, no additional sheet, at least not for everybody, but we do have a reference card. Don't worry, that
Okay.
information people won't have to dig through the rule book to find it. It'll be there.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah, yeah,
So I want to jump away a little bit from the spoilers. We've got two more questions, and I think one of them is huge, where there's spoilers involved. But I do want to know,
yeah.
where in the lore are we in Thunder's Edge's expedition? And just elaborate as best you know. I know probably Absol already knows more than you do, but
Um,
yeah.
so the Thunder's Edge expedition is something that happens or will happen in the lore, and it happens in a canonical way with certain uh people, factions, political players present. Um, and hopefully we'll get to explore that later. But in terms of the way it's represented in the game, it's a game abstraction, right? It's not the canonical faction that maybe does that. What if anybody could, be part of this? So the idea is that Thunder's Edge is in a canonical place. However, the idea is that it's obscured.
Right.
And so the expedition is basically finding it or funding, the expedition, from whoever knows where it is. I'm trying not to actually give away any spoilers.
No, it's okay. I know.
How do I phrase this? Anyway, so the abstraction in the game, of course, is that anybody can contribute to this and end up going. And the idea of placing the planet is actually just more like, it was always there.
Right, just definitively like marking it on the map.
Yeah. It's not that like suddenly you've decided to move the planet there or something like that. It's just an abstraction of knowing of that being where it is.
Right.
So much in the same way that a lot of the TI lore occurs at a point where the Galactic Council has already been reformed, but every game of TI still has that point where you go to Mechatol Rex and remove the custodians. Right. This is sort of like an abstraction of that plot element. So it's like, yeah, in the canon lore, this is how it works. However, the expedition is an abstraction of just that happening in every game.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly, this is actually kind of funny, / maybe it's not funny. Maybe people will be like, why is it like this? The fracture coming into play is actually not something that has happened in the lore or has not happened into the lore yet. So like the ongoing narrative is actually like, maybe leading up to a point where the fracture could connect to the real world, but it's more like it's something that could happen and all the pieces are in play now. And we've actually provided the abstraction for that in game before the actual story reaches that point. And I don't know when it will reach that point, if it will reach that point even, but it's just like something that could happen.
Uh-huh. So is the fracture bad? Like the fracture is like, if we were sitting on Mechatol Rex and looking out into the galaxy in world, the fracture appearing would be a bad thing, strictly.
It's not good. Yeah, it's and the fracture is not. It is related to Thunder's Edge, the planet. It is related to Thunder's Edge, the planet. It is related to
okay.
The Volwraith as well.
Okay.
And it is related to a faction that hasn't been revealed yet. And my favorite part of all of this is that there's just lots of little hints, and you kind of have to piece together what you think it might be.
Okay.
And it's in that regard, it's kind of a little bit like the Nomad, where there are like hints and pieces, and it's something I want to continue to reveal over time.
Okay. And not just over the next 4 weeks of time.
But... And not just over the next 4 weeks of time. Yeah.
Okay.
But like, in the Twilight Imperium long term. I guess.
So TI as a thing has more gas in the
That's awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, I know. I walked around like doing errands today, and I was like, or a couple days ago, and I was like, I wonder if anybody would ever know what this is. Probably not. But TI, awesome. Good. We know TI has more gas in the tank. It's not.
I think it has tons of gas in the tank. That's my personal opinion.
Cool.
There's plenty of gas to go around.
So would you say any of those clues exist in the RPG source books?
For the fracture?
Yeah. Only because I've specifically heard a couple people just talking about it as a possibility.
I don't remember.
Okay,
But
that's fine.
in developing the fracture, I definitely referenced a lot of other stuff, so it's possible
Mm-hmm.
that there could be something. Yeah, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, I'm excited for the fracture. I imagine it kind of like, you know a little bit about Marvel because you worked on Marvel Dagger, which, by the way, I appreciate you watching that video on the main channel.
Yeah, that's great.
It kind of reminds me of like an incursion in the multiverse. It
Sure.
just didn't think it's thematic, where it's like one multiverse or one universe clashes with another, and it's bad for both of them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
You can't tell me, obviously. I know that, but that's
yeah.
just how I'm
I don't.
feeling.
I don't want to give away too much, but
Okay.
I mean, there's definitely some truth to that.
Mm-hmm.
My only caveat, or is it really a caveat? My only disclaimer is that the focus of TI will always be on and in our galaxy,
Okay.
like in that galaxy. So, despite what little forays may happen, like it's not turning into a multiversal, you know, jumping all over the multiverse, traveling back in
Mm-hmm.
time, blah 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 blah. There are little elements of that here and there, but they're very limited. Um, but you're on the right track.
Okay. Yeah. No, it's very exciting. I feel like we could talk for like 2 hours just about the possibilities of the fracture, but I only have you for 10 questions, so I don't want to take your whole night.
Yeah.
All right. So jumping into number 3. What about the game's state post POK made an expansion centered around a single planet make the most sense to you? Or was it just a passion project to bring Thunder's Edge from 1990 into the TI4 universe?
That's like 2 questions.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, so was
It's
it?
okay. No, it's okay. It's more that I'm just tackling them in order.
Uh-huh.
So originally, an idea I had was, let's make it so that Mechatol isn't always the dead center. And so my idea was, I'm going to replace Mechatol and have like actually 3 or 4 different planets that could be the center planet that you fight over, that each have a different type of effect. And so Mechatol's effect was going to be having the agenda phase at all, right? That's the
Okay.
Mechatol effect. Thunder's
Mm-hmm.
Edge was going to have something different, and I was going to maybe have these others. And I quickly realized that it's kind of a cool idea, but maybe not for TI4, because Mechatol is baked in directly into so many cards and mechanics and components that it would require so much replacement or like kind of messy game design. Like when anything says Mechatol Rex, it actually refers to whatever's in the center. And I'm just like, I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah, I've seen that in
And
other games, and it
uh,
works.
like it works. It's
technically,
fine.
but
But I was just like, maybe I'll experiment with that like a later day. And so,
mm-hmm.
you know, that kind of idea kind of morphed in some ways into Mechatol, or not Mechatol, into Galactic Events, because I still wanted to have the idea of these games that were different,
Uh-huh.
but still TI. And then it also kind of morphed into, well, I still want to have like other cool planets that have a big effect. And I was like, so what if I had like a separate planet that was its own mini game that I could reference to it separately? And that's how Thunder's Edge came into be. The inspiration for it was, I wanted to get a name down quickly, because the name for Prophecy of Kings, like we just kept calling it the expansion for so long. And at the very end, it was like kind of like this tussle to name it. Like we kind of like fought about it a little bit, and I really didn't want it to be a couple different things, and the name that I really wanted it to be, people weren't happy with. and I don't even remember what that was at this point. I doubt there's even record of it anymore. But I remember that situation, and so when this came around, I was just like looking for inspiration for a name, and I was like, oh, Thunder's Edge, a game we used to make. That's a sick name, and it's like very loosely TI based, because if you go back and look at that, it was this kind of like Mars like planet that had like Federation of Soul infantry and like mechs on it, and they're like fighting maybe like there's nothing lore wise that is actually, it's just a nod.
I actually have it. I bought it.
Do you?
After I don't
you
have,
actually able to find it?
I have 3 copies of it. And I'm giving away one to the people on the Cardboard Crash Course. I sent one to Hunter over on SCPT, and I'm keeping one for myself. So
that's awesome.
As soon as Thunder's Edge got announced, I looked up on eBay and I was like, I have to find some, because they're gonna go. Yeah. And so I did, and it was all fantastically like kept together. I think it was a nice little game shop that had them. But I was looking through the rule book, and one of the major things that like you get to unlock in the 1990 game is your science. They call it like technological breakthroughs, and I was like, it's like, no way. Also,
I love it.
The faction names. One of them is the Pan Soul Alliance, so that's cool. That's a nice little nod. And then one of them's the Obsidian League, and I was like, okay, that's something.
I love my references. What can I say? Yeah, it was just kind of a nod to. It's all just kind of a nod to old FFG stuff.
Yeah. So when they were talking about it 2 years ago, this is the FFG history or whatever that they were referencing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so from the moment that this expansion was greenlit, I just started calling it Thunder's Edge, and just didn't really put it up for conversation what it would be called. And by the end of it, everyone else was calling it Thunder's Edge, so it was never a question what it was going to be called.
Yeah.
So we just called it Thunder's Edge, and I was like, great, it's been named exactly what I wanted. Everything is perfect. so the reason it's called Thunder's Edge is just my own finickiness / pride / selfishness, because I wanted to name it, and that's it.
There's something about like the difference between, okay, so Prophecy of Kings is like not a direct like representation of exactly what's in it. Like, yeah, it's talking about the Mahact and like all of this, and they're coming back and they're bringing all these things back, but like you wouldn't know that by looking at the box. There's a certain amount of just like, no, this is what it is. Like Thunder, like the expansion is Thunder's Edge. It introduces Thunder's Edge. It's all about Thunder's Edge. It's like no questions. I actually like it.
Names like that. Me too. And I like when a name is there in the lore of the game, and not and when game titles start to veer away from what's actually going on into like kind of like generic-y stuff, I'm always just like, So Prophecy of Kings rides that line just a little bit for me. I love POK. I think it will forever be like one of my favorite, if not the favorite thing I've ever worked on. But like the name of it is just like a little bit edging into generic space, and I'm just like, no, I want to let this happen. And so Thunder's Edge.
Yeah. It almost reminds me of like the difference between like Forsaken lore and like stuff like that. That was like Eldritch Horrors expansions. It didn't really reference the thing that came in it. And then the final expansion was just Nyarlathotep. And it was like, that's what it introduces. And it's like, what else do you want?
I was really glad we got to do masks. That was awesome. I'm glad we got like kind of like the go ahead to do that. That was one of my favorite things.
Great to tie a bow on it.
Yeah. I love Nyarlathotep also as like just like a personal, when it comes to Arkham Horror stuff, like Nyarlathotep feels to me like the big bad of Arkham Horror.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, oh, Cthulhu's the big bad of Arkham Horror. And I'm just like, Cthulhu doesn't hate humans enough to be the big bad of Arkham Horror. Like Nyarlathotep really wants, he's intelligent. He wants everybody to suffer.
Right.
He's, both like the liaison to all the outer gods and also like whatever he is himself, like, and he like crosses all kinds of IPs and fiction. Like
Uh-huh.
Nyarlathotep is a scary, scary thing.
Yep. It's
Like
like,
way scarier than Cthulhu. Cthulhu's just trying to take a nap and he's mad. Like,
yeah, like I
okay,
wouldn't
like
want to see Cthulhu, but like if I did, I'd
no,
be like, oh, well, it's like, it's no different than seeing
yeah,
like an angry elephant or something.
yeah,
But it's
yeah.
like, yeah,
And the
the big
concept of
bad.
Nyarlathotep having all these different faces or masks or
Hmm.
aspects or whatever they are, and just existing in every culture, and you know being the architect of chaos throughout time is just
Oh yeah.
great. I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
I
It's
love
in everything.
Nyarlathotep as yeah, I love Nyarlathotep as like you said, a bow, like a just a
Yep.
mm-hmm,
Yep. I was even
scary.
watching Game of Thrones the other day and they got the God of Death that like wears a bunch of different faces and it's
Yep,
like, yeah, no, it's in
exactly.
everything. It
It's
was a big
yeah,
deal.
canonically that has to be in Nyarlathotep. I mean, it is who that is.
Well, that's cool. I'm
Yeah,
glad you got your way on this one.
yeah,
So, speaking of development, question number
yeah.
4. What was the most challenging part of development that you can think of while working with the team to realize this expansion? What was the what was the easiest part, and what was the most difficult part? Maybe something that just clicked into place, or something that you had to work on for a little bit.
The easiest part. Let's start with the hardest part. The hardest part was for sure knowing when it was time for me to give up on certain ideas or hopes. For example, um, revising support for the throne. A contentious card that I don't love where it ended up, and I don't love any of the solutions I've seen, and I don't love not having it. So like
Hmm.
I'm just like, uh,
So that's a soft
I don't.
confirmation. It has not been changed.
It has not
Okay.
been changed. No. Um, that kind of stuff is the hardest for me in anything because I latch on to an idea that I'm definitely gonna do, and I'm gonna do it for sure, and then all that feedback starts to pour in where it's like, no, don't do that. Like, I don't like this. And then people get split on stuff. And I'm just like, this is a terrible idea. Like, and eventually, like, I just had to be like, okay, there's no way to make everybody happy with this, including myself. I'm the least happy about any potential changes. And I like support for the throne when people use it the way that I want them to use it. So
Me too.
people can either come up with people can either play in the spirit of that or they can play how they do now with, the support for the throne, support swap partners, meta, the rage win makes, the whole whatever, all the good and bad that comes with. So, it just is what it is, and that's just how it is.
There's an entire just remember there's a loud minority online that plays a certain way, and I don't blame them for it because it is what it is. But
Yeah.
don't forget there are plenty of people that play Beer and Pretzels TI and do it the way it was intended. When I sit down with my friends, it's different than when I'm like sitting down to win and
Yeah. That I love both of those groups equally.
mhm.
I- It's I feel like I design for Beer and Pretzel TI.
Okay.
Like in my head when I design stuff, that's usually what I designed for. And then I temper that with feedback from the other group, which is also the group that I play the most with, right? Like the sit down to win, the competitive whatever.
Right.
Once upon a time I played more with the Beer and Pretzels, but these days when I play TI, I play with people in the community who are like way better at this game than I am. And
Yeah.
fortunately, I've gotten better because of them, which is fun. But yeah, yeah, it's that yeah. So that's the hardest part is giving up on stuff that I wanted to do but couldn't, or like my idea with the middle planets, wanting to have non-Mechatol centers and swap them out or whatever.
Mhm.
And with any of these ideas, it could be something I return to later, like maybe in a different edition or something like that, if that ever comes to pass. But it's giving up on stuff is always the hardest thing for me in any project, especially if I really want it to happen.
Very understandable.
The easiest thing for me was probably, I would say fully half of the breakthroughs just leapt out of me instantly. Like I just knew that I was like, oh, I want to break the rules, because without the limitations of something being a technology and being copyable by the necrovirus, without those two limitations, I was just like, oh yeah, we're playing with faction stuff, and it was just like,
Yeah.
like Cruiser 3, I don't want to say what the Imperium breakthrough is. Nazroka super mech, like just
so the super mech from your crazy thing is actually a thing?
Oh yeah, no, that's true. I think it's actually it might be a little more in after some stuff about it was pointed out. I believe it might be a little crazy now than even it was when I posted it, and certainly the design of the card itself is now finalized. So you will see, people were they could see. I don't know if you remember. I had that little like Kriya's head that was like blocking the thing, and what it used to say was breakthrough, and then like synergy, and then it had like yellow green.
I don't know.
Yeah, it had two colors on it, and of course, breakthrough ended up being, instead of the name of the ability, the card type itself, and synergy is represented on breakthroughs now with some graphic design, so that got removed. But that's what the little Kriya's head was covering, and people were trying to like figure out like, oh, we think that's the letter B, but it's too long or too short, and they're trying to like figure stuff out. It's funny, but yeah, the general idea of the Eidolon maximum is still the same.
Okay, it's just straight Power Rangers.
It's not okay. Well, I mean, it is kind of Power Rangers, Voltron, Gundam, whatever you wanna call it.
Okay, we'll call it Gundam because that's much cooler.
Yeah, it is much cooler.
But that wasn't the question. But the I won't make you spoil any more that we already talked about if you don't want to. But the easiest part was the breakthroughs.
The easiest part was about half the breakthroughs.
Okay.
Yep, because that was just like, finally I could make some additional faction abilities, basically is what it is. Additional faction abilities without having to worry about making them work with the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like be usable by the Necro or something like that. Because there was a brief moment in time where I was like, okay, we're going to add a third faction tech with this, and there was no breakthroughs. That wasn't a thing. And then I was just like, I started working on it and started putting these ideas, and I was just like, oh my god, everything breaks every time I try to do anything.
Yeah.
Because of Necro. So I was like, nope, we'll give Necro something new and awesome to copy with their breakthrough, but we will not allow them to copy other people's breakthroughs. Like, we're not going to allow them to copy their breakthroughs, and we're
can't even imagine what that would be. But sounds cool.
Oh wait, yeah, that's not a thing. Oh yeah,
no, that's not a thing yet. But it's never going to be a thing. No, we were just throwing out ideas.
Yeah. Don't worry. Necro
cool.
Breakthrough comes with 7 additional tokens, so you can just theorize what that means.
Interesting.
Yep, and it's not copying breakthroughs. Anyway, moving on.
Don't worry, guys. We will talk about a breakthrough here, but it's not the Necros. So, where the heck were we? Okay, we talked about 4. Yes. Okay, this is so exciting. Question 5. Is there something about this expansion that you're particularly proud of? Maybe something that has been glossed over by the community so far?
Maybe something that has been glossed over by the community so far.
Like they're not quite paying it as much attention to, or they're not quite thinking about how much work was put in to make sure that it operates. Whatever you're really proud of.
Um,
I mean, I know
really
everybody
proud of.
appreciates the hard work, but maybe
I feel like the stuff I'm most proud of is the stuff that everybody's paying attention to. So I think I'm good.
okay.
Honestly, no, I don't think so. I will say that there is stuff that people have glossed over or theorized about and been wrong about, or that kind of stuff. People are very convinced that this game requires Prophecy of Kings to function or to
Oh
function
yeah,
well.
right.
It really doesn't. It works
Well,
just fine.
you and I talked, I think at some point, I think it was like publicly about how it's very, very difficult to have expansions that are modular without the other thing, but still work with it in a way
Mhm.
that like helps each other out.
The only components that are in Thunder's Edge that can't be used are leaders and mechs. That's it.
Okay. And
And all the new factions function without them. Everything else works. There's Thunder's Edge provides additional ways to acquire relics. So not having relic fragments is not a problem.
mhm.
Not having exploration is not a problem. You can still get relics. The leaders or leader analogs, I guess, um, in Twilight's Fall are completely divorced from leader cards and can be used separately. So in that regard, Twilight's Fall contains a ton of POK and POK adjacent content that people can use even if they don't have POK.
Right.
With again the exception being mechs, because so there's like 3 mech cards I think or something like that that can't be used.
Okay.
So yeah, three mech cards from Twilight's Fall plus each of the new factions, mechs and leaders. Everything else works totally seamlessly, and it's like not a problem at all.
Cool to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad. I mean, obviously, I'm the type of person who knows everything there is to know about like the products of TI and everything, but I'm always worried about, I don't want to say the little guy, but the new guy. Just walking into a store and being like, I have TI and I've played a couple times, and this one looks, Thunder's Edge looks cooler than Prophecy of Kings to me. So I'm glad that it's not going to mess with anybody in that way.
Yep. One actually kind of funny thing though is that if you're willing to just, proxy mech plastic, you could absolutely play as if you had POK other than exploration itself, because you could play with the full leader suite
Right.
with the 6 new factions, and you could have a full game of all the 6 factions that are included in with their full leaders, their mechs. Like not having the mech plastic doesn't like legally, FFG is not going to show up at your house and be like, you can't use these, buy POK or whatever,
Right.
So you could play like a full POK game minus exploration with Thunder's Edge factions for sure.
Cool. Well, maybe that's something that was sort of glossed over that you're proud of, is like all the work that went into making sure that was the case, and
Yeah,
the modular aspect. Thunder's Edge almost feels maybe a little more modular than
aspects
Prophecy of
of it
Kings.
can be looked at as modular, yeah, because I there's a way to view galactic events where each one is kind of a module.
Mm-hmm.
But then I've also presented the system of galactic events period as being modular. In that regard, they're completely based off of Eldritch Horror preludes, right?
Yeah.
Like, so if you count those as being modular, sure, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
An expansion itself is a module as well.
Right.
So that's never gonna change. So yeah, I did loosen my definitions a little bit there, but I still try to think about it the same way. The faction or the expansion itself is one package.
Hmm.
Like you need to play with Thunder's Edge to play with the breakthroughs to play with the fracture, because it's all one system that's
Right.
being added to the game.
Very exciting system. As soon as I saw the fracture, I was like, wow, we're really going into it.
Yeah, it's some cool stuff. It started as like, oh, what if it was like an anomaly, like Mirage that showed up with exploration? And I was like, wait, there is no exploration. How do we include like an anomaly that is extra tiles? And I was like, well, okay, what if it tied into the system? And then of course it ended up being kind of how it is now.
Cool. Well, we already touched on this next one, so it might be a little bit quick. Um, but speaking of the community, from a couple questions ago, to what level do you include community feedback and data collection done by community members when thinking how to change a faction or introduce new things, um, like the breakthroughs? You said it's you design for Beer and Pretzels TI, but how much actual data do you think you include?
Well, I mean, looking at stuff like win rates and that kind of thing, um, I do see like people at the bottom or factions at the bottom, and I'm like, okay, we'll try to give them something that's really cool or really good, so that'll increase their win rate. And then more concretely, of course, all the playtesters are part of the community. Not every one of them, but a lot of them are. Um,
Hmm.
so in that regard, I take a lot of feedback from the community, because the community is the one giving me, direct feedback on the games. Um, yeah, that's hard to quantify. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
wasn't
it's a
looking
lot.
for.
It's a large percentage of the feedback I get is that kind of stuff. But as any playtester will tell you, I can be very stubborn, and sometimes I will just read feedback and be like, "No, I don't like that," and they'll be like, "Okay, well, when I'll tell you I told you so in 3 years or whatever, when it's finally out, and you'll see," and I'll be like, "Probably, you're right." But yep, I can be
Yeah.
stubborn. That's
Well,
for sure.
well,
There
it's
there there I'm sure there will be some I told you so's. I can't wait.
well, at least we, as the 99%, will never know.
It's true. It's true. I'll get those DMs though. Mark my word.
Everybody's complaining about it. I told you.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
The link to like 10 different places where they said the same thing and tester feedback, and I'd be like, okay, you were right.
yeah. Well, I'm trying to pull up. There we go. So you laughed in my face the last time when I told you the winner was my favorite faction.
It's yeah, I that's
No, you
everybody's
don't.
it reminds me of that
Don't deny
Pokemon
it.
saying. It's like every Pokemon is somebody's favorite or whatever. And that just reminded me of the Winua. Yep, every faction is someone's favorite.
Yeah,
So
some lame like Lickitung. It's like, dude, that's your
yeah,
favorite,
yeah, exactly. Lickitung and Winnu, they're like the same thing. Um,
dude.
I mean, Winnu are fine.
Yeah.
Um, I yeah, I during POK I really struggled with Winnu, um, because of course I really wanted to lean into their Mechatol theme,
Right.
but leaning into Mechatol as a mechanic for a faction is so restrictive in the sense of, well, what if they can't lean into Mechatol? Well, then I guess they don't really do anything.
Yeah, you made him even more into a glass cannon.
Yeah,
But the
and
hero's
so then
nice.
it's like, yeah, the hero's nice. Um, but yeah, that they really are. Yeah, they really are the glass cannon. Like they're either winning or they have shattered into a million pieces,
Yeah.
with no hope of comeback. And they're cool thematically. They're tied closer to the central lore of the game than a lot of the other factions might be, because their whole thing is their species was subservient to the Lazex or whatnot. So yeah, they're an interesting faction.
Well, this interesting faction. My number 7 question is: can I please read off the Imperator?
Yes, you can. You
And
can.
then maybe get some
Please go
feedback
ahead.
from you.
All right, hit me.
Okay. The Imperator is the Winnu breakthrough that I'm super, super excited about. It is a
Yep.
blue-red
Yep.
synergy, which
Yep.
seems really strong. Seems like
It is. It is really strong, and it was a tough choice to give them blue because Winnu can already have such a high win rate or whatever
mhm.
that it was like, do I really want to give them blue? But what I wanted to give them was something useful that they can still use and utilize when they don't have Mechatol Rex. Like
Right.
something where they can when half their kit is dead, they can still do this.
And still zip around and do
Yeah, still
things.
zip around and be an absolute menace, and maybe use that to help get Mechatol Rex. But it was, other than that though, like of course I didn't want to give them something that was so game changing that it just turned them into they can get and keep Mechatol Rex every game no matter what for free, and if Windows in the game, just assume that you ever get it. So that was hard. Winnu is one of those ones where I think in a world where there is a TI5, it's just redone from the ground up, because just like it was from TI3 and TI4. Yeah, they're yep. So go on. Sorry, I
No,
interrupted
it's
you
okay.
to comment on the synergy colors.
No, that's awesome. So we have 2 abilities essentially.
Yep. Yep.
Um, First one is hilarious that we were already talking about this, but
Yep.
apply +1 to the results of each of your unit's combat rolls for each support for the throne in your opponent's play area.
Yeah.
So in a normal game, that's up to +5.
Well,
Kind of. Okay.
it's your opponent's.
It's controlled by the
Yeah.
So this is your way of saying I'm gonna nerf support for the throne, but not directly.
It's just if say your specific opponent has 2 support for the thrones, all your units get +2 against them. It's just I just want. It's just my little tiniest middle finger to support for the throne and all the trouble that it's caused me. It's so
great.
minor. It's such a little thing in the end. But yeah, I was just like, yeah, whatever. Like,
Well, it's an interesting point
it
to.
fits.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. Like thematically, like you're saying, that when you hate when other people are rushing for the throne because they believe they own it, and then number 2 is like mechanics. It gives you an interesting thinking point to be like, all I'm doing by giving this away is powering up this other faction to a point. Like +1 each is not a small amount. So
just to clarify though, if all 5 support for the thrones are out and they're all in different people, that's still only +1 to against everybody. It's not +1. An opponent is only the person you're fighting in combat. It's not
okay.
every other table every other person at the table. Yeah.
Right.
So it's a much smaller bonus than +5 at all times, but it is
Gotcha.
useful.
And understand now.
Yes. I just wanted to clarify that aspect of it. That would be for each owned by each other player. That would be terrifying. My God, that would be awesome and also awful.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I should have known this. Okay, but
Yeah.
still,
No, it's fine.
This is the little boost. The other boost is kind of like the big one. I'm imagining in my head comes into play more often, especially when you don't have Rex. After you activate a system that contains a legendary planet, which I have another thing I want to talk about in a second. But after that, apply +1 to the move value of one of your ships during this tactical action.
Yep.
So this is gravity drive, kind of on top of gravity drive, because you're also given blue-red. So It's just movement. You can get where you want.
Yep.
This does not say Mechatol Rex.
No, it doesn't.
And we know something interesting about Mechatol Rex now. That it has a little purple symbol, yeah.
Yes, Mechatol Rex is now a legendary planet. That is correct. But this is much more versatile than that. Like you said, it's for when the Winnu doesn't have Mechatol Rex as well, or when maybe they look at Mechatol Rex and Arborek has 48 infantry on it, and you're just like, no, nobody's getting through that. You can use this instead to zip into sticks, or pick off Malice or some other legendary planet that would otherwise be out of your reach.
Ordinian.
And just Ordinian. Ooh, careful with that one.
That's rough. That's really upsetting.
I don't think that the Bastion would take too kindly to their home system being attacked by the Winnu. But yes, Ordinian is an option as well because it is. So, and that should just read that the Winnu get +1 when moving into Bastion's home system. I like that.
Yeah, that's poor Bastion.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Believe me, no one's going to be saying poor Bastion after playing against Bastion.
Even though they start off as like the poorest possible faction. There's a few things about Bastion we haven't seen. We've seen like some of the galvanization and everything, but they've got to have some crazy leaders.
They're a little, they sometimes play a little bit. They remind me kind of Titans in that they're tough to uproot and they hit hard.
Okay.
It's like Titans with a sprinkle of Arborek. You'll see it. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, this is super exciting. I love that it plays off some components that already exist. Now, we don't know Mechatol Rex's legendary ability. It does have I won't ask you what it is, but it does have a legendary ability, yes? Of some kind? Okay.
I'll even tell you what it does. It's for some reason I thought it was out there.
I didn't know I was going to get this.
It was it lets you cycle unscored secrets, like discard and draw. It's nothing crazy. I didn't want to throw things super out of whack, but
that's nice though.
Yeah, so you can be like, nope, don't want this one. Discard, draw another one, and that's it. It's objective focused, like Mechatol. Tried to keep it in theme. It's very useful. I mean, it's effectively the cost of a command token. As if you're just, it's a little bit worse than simply gaining a secret objective because
sure
you then have to discard one. But
right, it's card selection, not card draw, essentially.
Exactly. But I mean, it's identical if you're already at 3 or near enough to identical. It's not quite. Anyway.
Well, it's it's one of the worst situations to be in when you're just like, I cannot score the secret objective. So that's just another reason to fight over the center of the table, which...
Yeah, no, it's useful. It's useful. And yeah, Mechatol feels like it always should have been a legendary planet. And so after not correcting that in POK, I felt like I needed to correct that.
It was a little weird to me when POK came out that it's like Mechatol Rex is almost like I had to like rationalize it. Like Mechatol Rex is so legendary that it doesn't have to be.
I mean, that's basically the rationale I used also, and I regretted it every time I had to say in card rules text like legendary planet or Mechatol Rex, and I would just be like, why didn't I just make it a legendary planet? Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's cool though. I didn't know I was gonna be able to hear about that, but very exciting.
Surprise.
Actually, what's funny is the next question 8, is about Last Bastion, but it's just a small question.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's talk Last Bastion just a little bit. How did you come across it's broken up into a few questions. How come you didn't, how did you come across the idea for a poor small faction with heroic-like units? First of all.
So I always want to not just make everything additive in the lore, which by what I mean by that is every new lore thing can't suddenly be these suddenly new species that we've somehow never heard of.
Right.
Um, and so I always try to look back and be like, where can we go with this? And of course, what I came across was Salient Sun, which is the um, central focus of one of the TI3 expansions fiction. It's a joint venture between Soul and Extra, and it's where like they first encounter the necrovirus, something like that.
Okay.
And so originally this faction was just going to be called Salient Sun, and it was going to be I mean the concept of it basically comes from these guys have been out here for so long, and the core homeworlds aren't properly supporting them anymore, and they decide to effectively go rogue, which is why they don't have any money necessarily. Well, it's actually not that they don't have money. They actually have quite a lot of money. They have quite a lot of backing. What they don't have is a planet of rich resources. What they do have is they have Ordinian, which is completely dead and has nothing on it.
Right.
And then they also have the space station Revelation, which is the other planet in their home system.
Mm-hmm.
So they're actually quite they're small. They're very small, but they're quite elite, and they are very well funded, which is something that will the lore of that will be addressed, not
Okay.
here in this podcast, but yes, they have quite a bit of cash. They just don't have a ton of reach, and so their whole thing is they are expanding that reach. They start small. They retake Ordinian. Now they finally have a home, and they've cut ties with Soul. They've cut ties with the kingdom, extra kingdom, and they aren't just Soul and Extra. There's also a lot of others. There's natives of Ordinian, so that would be Naz and Roka,
Okay.
and anybody else who was disenfranchised and is now part of this other thing. So they're not poor. I mean, they are poor mechanically in the game at the start, but they don't have an empire, and they're not really in the lore wise. They're not really looking to form an empire. They're looking to be a bastion of safety in the worst part of the galaxy, in the part that is pushed right up against necrospace.
Almost reminds me of like the Mandalorians. Very
Yeah, kind
cool.
of. And some of their design, like the idea of them being like very few, but like very like well trained, very experienced, kind of came from like Mars in the Expanse, if you're familiar with that at all.
Yeah.
So they're definitely like they're definitely some like they're like kind of like a good guy faction, but like they've also kind of got some gnarly secrets and also some questionable backing. So they're an interesting faction. And of course, the other reason they developed is that, and I believe I've talked about this, maybe not with you, maybe with you. I kind of struggle to remember sometimes where I talk about things, but one of the things I want to do with the new factions is I didn't want to just keep adding new species forever, even though new species are exciting. It was important to me that we give attention to stories that have already started, because a lot of what has gone on in development is I've been so excited about adding new factions in POK that the story of older factions just doesn't advance, including core factions.
Right.
What has Soul done since TI3? Like nothing. A lot of the main characters in books and stuff are humans, but a lot of time they're Mentak faction or whatever. And so like Bastion is kind of like a continuation. They're not Soul, but they're like expanding on a splinter from Soul. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's creating a new faction, literally, not a new species, but a new faction, and advancing the story by creating a new story of all the things that it was a part of. And you can see a lot of that in this because I wanted to continue telling stories while also adding new factions, while also not neglecting, you know, the 25 species that already exist in the, the
Yeah.
lore by just adding 6 or 7 more new ones. Like, adding new ones is great. And if it were up to me, we'd never stop. But at the same time, like, I do want to slow it down and be able to,
Right.
be able to expand these other stories and give other people screen time. And even doing that, there's still anytime the story advances, lots of factions get left out.
Right.
Like, because not everybody can be part of the main story all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I respect that.
Yeah.
Some factions just like Soul and Barony are like the ones who started the Twilight Wars or the Age of Dusk, I forget, but like some factions are just straight up more important to the story than others, and that's okay because sometimes some things just sit out. And my second part of this question was it your idea or did someone else pitch it? I imagine this is mostly coming from you then, if you wanted to create this faction that was just sort of a conglomerate and pushed stories into new directions.
Yeah. It was definitely not a mandate from somebody else or anything like that. Like, it's definitely my choice. But not all the ideas originally came from me. You can trace the origins of Red Ghosts back to something that Corey Konezka pitched to me for POK as a main faction. And I ended up including Red Ghosts, but as a lore unit, the ground forces for Mahacht.
Right.
Like, so Red Ghosts have always been kind of like an idea, and it wasn't mine. As much as I love ghosts and wish I could claim that was all Corey. So, not all me. But the idea to focus on these other things was a conscious decision that I made. Salient Sun was originally just going to be called Salient Sun, and for various reasons, we ended up going with a new name because we wanted to give them new identity, and it didn't really make sense to stay with that, especially because they were kind of rebranding themselves. And then a lot of people like around the studio didn't know what Salient meant, or rather they knew what Salient meant but didn't know what it meant in like a military term. So they're just like, what does that even mean? Why is the sun relevant? Like, and I was just like, okay, let's just change the name. Well, they'll start a new faction or whatever. Like, we'll call it something else.
Yeah. Well, notably, Last Bastion is the only it's the only other one without "the" in the title. It was okay. Was that a purposeful? We cannot just have one. Guys, we need 2. We need at least 2 for it to seem like we knew what we were doing.
It was intentional.
Okay. I don't mean to throw shade, but that always seemed like
and colloquially, people could still refer to them as the Last Bastion or the Bastion. I think is probably a common one that would be like an in-universe thing, but Last Bastion is their name. Yeah, not everything has to have a "the" at the front. Like,
it's not the Cardboard Crash Course. It's just Cardboard Crash Course.
Exactly. You're not the Cardboard Crash Course. See, thank you.
Yeah,
you get it.
I get it. I like that. I like that. It finally. This really feels like the first time, like you said, that I can tell somebody these are factions. Like, I know that a lot of them are tied to specific races, but they're not races. They're factions. Yeah. Like, I always had to be like, well, Mentak aren't just all this purple creature on the front, and like
Yep.
it's, they're factions, and like this is finally a way to be like, see, like
Yep.
they're not, these are the same, they're humans and extra and like some other things, but mostly those two, but they're
Yep.
not the humans and extra that are over here.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right. And so it's and I like how it has turned out, and I know that there will be people who are, and it's totally valid, who are less excited about factions that aren't new species,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a totally valid
I get it,
point
but
of view to take. I get it too, but realistically, I'd started feeling like it wasn't fair to sideline so many different species every time I wanted to do stuff. So I want to do more stuff with cross species endeavors, and create new factions, and sort of see like, where do I think organically, in a world where it's not actually just 20 different species who are all vying for control of the being the empire of the universe, and like how would these alliances actually form, like,
mm-hmm.
because you know I've said this before, I don't think that canonically most of the factions do want to control the galaxy. Like, I think they just, a lot of, they're fine being part of the Galactic Council and managing their own space as best they can or whatever. And so I want to explore what the factions look like in a world that is more realistic like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like we live on a planet with well over 100 countries that aren't all trying to control the entire, right? So
Right.
like,
Yeah.
like, that's just reality. Like,
Yeah, it's
and I think
unrealistic to think that like every single, like if we look at like Star Wars, it's unrealistic to be like, yeah, even the Jawas want to like control the Empire.
exactly. So I can better give screen time to uh people like the Jawas in Twilight Imperium,
Right.
by acknowledging that fact, and then okay, now there's this faction that includes the Jawas in it, and that has a big presence on the board, even though the Jawas don't. And then I can, I need to stop saying Jawas because there are no Jawas in Twilight Imperium.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's the reasoning. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
That's how things are, and I'm pretty happy with that direction and how it kind of turned out. And so we'll see what the future holds in that regard. Kind of see how people respond to it, see if that was enjoyed. Yeah, but I'm happy. I'm happy right now.
Cool.
So,
well, as maybe your 8 has gone up to a 9, it's of excitement as part of this interview.
Yes.
I do have one final question about Last Bastion.
Yeah.
How many galvanized tokens do we get with the faction? Is it only just like a few, or is it a pile of, like, some people are talking about, well, maybe there's only like 5 because there's only like 5 or 6 on the back of the board, but is it essentially unlimited, or?
It is, no, it's not unlimited. It is set.
Okay.
And of course I don't know the exact number. Why would I? That's crazy. It's not like I designed this. I'm trying to see if I can count really fast, because I do.
But the idea is that they have a set number of hero units that can be galvanized, and it can't go above that. When you go to galvanize and you're past your limit, can you move them around?
I definitely answer that question somewhere in the rules.
Okay.
I believe the answer was yes, but it's so hard for me to answer questions like that, because I'm just like, this was definitely a point of a topic, and I don't remember how I answered it. And have definitely played with it both ways, so it's like jumble in my brain. There are 7. There are 7 galvanized tokens.
Only 7, huh?
There are 7. Yep.
Huh. Interesting.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I guess I I don't, I wasn't around for faction balance, so you could have told me either way, and it would,
Yep.
whichever way it was, would make sense to the balance of it. But I was interested to
Yeah.
see if it was like, do you just
Yep.
literally have this pile, or is it like you got to resource manage?
It's a management thing. Um, I mean, you won't always hit that number, but there will be times when you hit that number. So, um, yeah, just kind of have to see uh, how that plays out. But yes,
Okay.
seven is the number. More Bastion spoilers we didn't know that we were gonna get.
Okay. If you're ready for big question number 9, that we're
Uh-oh.
probably going to take a long time on.
Yep.
Is there anything else you can show about the expansion? Any new components, or even maybe one of the 5/6 new factions?
Yeah. You
I know
already
the
know,
answer
right?
to this one.
You're just
I'm
being
playing it
coy
up.
now. Yep. Yeah. Let's talk about. I almost said the wrong faction. Let's talk about the Deep Rot, the Deep Rot Scholarate.
Yeah. So somewhere in FFG something they already showed off the name and like the faction leader, I think. Um
Uh, like the
just
faction art.
quickly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably. I believe they've done that for several of the factions, maybe all of them. I actually not 100% sure where things are at the moment, but yes.
As of the
I
making of
believe,
this video, I'm pretty sure only only Last Bastion and the Deep Rot Scholarate
okay,
are known the name. Oh, and the Ralnel Consortium, you can see it on the back of the box.
sure.
Those
Okay.
3 are the only ones we know. Obviously, we know Claris, but to the
Yep.
2 others, we don't know.
We don't know. Okay.
But yeah, let's talk about some exciting stuff. I want to trade off talking about the components with you. If you want to talk about the faction sheet first, I'll put this up on screen like I'm putting up all the others.
Yeah, sure. That works for me. Um, did you want to start, or do you want me to start?
You can go ahead and start. This is your baby.
All right, this is my baby. So here it is, world first Deep Rot Scholarate reveal.
I'm
What
so excited. Cardboard Crash Course
so
feels so official now.
I'm glad you're stoked. I'm stoked to be just like to get to talk about it. Um, so Deep Rot Scholarate. They are a species who they're Hylar. I mean, they're like the Jolnar. They are Hylar. I mean, they were Jolnar. They split from the universities, and the Deep Rot Scholarate also consists of an alliance with another species called the Kyros, which are people thought they were robots, but they are not robots. They are completely organic. They're little jellyfish-looking guys.
I even had that question. I didn't know what
Yep.
I was looking at.
Yep.
They're
Yep.
organic.
Those are the Kyros. And they are natives of the planet Icatena, which is where effectively this splinter of Hylar has gone to take refuge after their kind of moral split with the Hylar.
Okay.
And so they have kind of like a big new core mechanic that belongs to them called coexistence. So I'll just read their faction abilities real quick. Research team, that's the first one. When ground forces are committed, if your units on that planet are not already coexisting, you may choose for your units to coexist. So basically, you can exist and share that planet with somebody.
That's crazy.
You don't get its card. You don't get its planet card, but you kind of count as being there. So
Okay.
you can for like the purpose of like objectives and stuff like that, which is super useful. Their other ability is called Ocean Bound. When your units begin coexisting on a planet, gain an ocean card and ready it. Anytime you have more ocean cards in there containing coexisting units, discard ocean until you do not. The ocean cards are basically little mini planets. The idea is that they coexist with somebody, and then they'll just exist on the oceans of that planet. Of course, there's a little bit of thematic hand waviness here. You can totally imagine them lava planet or completely barren planet that has no oceans, but that's the idea. And so they come with 5 1/1, so one resource, one influence planets that they can exhaust, as if they were. I mean, they are basically little mini planets. And so for each place they're coexisting, they have this extra thing, even though they don't technically have units there. And there's all kinds of nuances to how coexist works, and I don't want to get too into the weeds.
That's okay. Yeah.
But yeah, there's ways you can like you can break coexistence intentionally. If you're the person who's being resisted, you can like activate and attack those forces that you're coexisting with, and likewise you can try to like turn on your hosts and that kind of thing. So coexistence does not come without risk, right?
Interesting.
So like you can force end the state, and people will have a million questions about it, and I've done my best to flesh all that out in the rule book, in the interest of not being asked to explain all of that until the game is out. I won't go too into the weeds.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say is notably, this is just about basically ignoring invasion and ground combat. You still have to go through space the normal ways.
Yep, you can't coexist in space. It's just on planets. Well,
that's super exciting. When I read Coexist, which, spoilers, I've already looked through all this, but when I read Coexist, it blew me away in the same way Capture did. I was like, this just makes sense. Like, why? Of course, there's a coexisting faction. Of course, there's somebody who's nice. Like, this is like the nice good guy faction.
Yeah, they love sharing their tech, which will be something we'll get to momentarily. So the other thing, of course, on the front of the Deep Scholar sheet is the DWS Luminous, which is their flagship. So this ship can move through systems that contain your units, even if other players are present. So, for example, if you're coexisting in a system, it can move through that system, even if there are ships present. If it would, apply +1 to its move value for each of those systems. So that is kind of similar to the way that like Cabal space docks work. So you can kind of chain coexistence systems together to give your flagship some access and some mobility through units, if you can, and let your flagship have that extra mobility.
Right. And it's like it's thematically like, yeah, just pass on by. Like, we're already friends, so like we'll help you along. It's basically like an escort.
Yep.
Through the system.
Yeah. The exact thematics, of course, because
you didn't let me see the back of the faction sheet, so I don't know the exact.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, yes, that is the idea of what's happening. If it isn't a perfect thematic representation, because of course that player in space could actually be a third party, but that is how the mechanic works. So that's the faction sheet. What do you want to look at next?
I feel like we should start with base game stuff. Let's look at the technologies, and then we can move into leaders, and then maybe end with the breakthrough.
All right, sounds good.
Cool. I'll read the first technology. This is Radical Advancement.
Yep.
At the start, so it's a single green. So, which, by the way, can we just talk about? Hold on. You didn't let me see the back of the faction sheet for lore reasons, but I want to also say their starting tech says during setup, research technology twice.
Yep.
So they can have one of these faction tech to start the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's It's just basically like you start at the 0 prereqs, and then you can move into another 0, or you can move into a 1. That's just how that works. Okay, so you can have either one of these starting ones at the start of the game.
Yeah. So this faction is my experiment into like, well, what if there's 2 tech factions? Because, this is a big universe. The Jolnar can't have monopoly on every single effect of technology,
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they are Hylar, so they still kind of do, but whatever, hand wave. The idea is that I wanted to be like, let's have a tech faction that is entirely a tech faction, but also doesn't use any of the same mechanics that Jolnar has. So that's kind of where the idea for all this stuff came from. But
All right.
go on.
Yeah.
Advancement.
So radical advancement. At the start of the status phase, you may replace one of your non-unit upgrade technologies with a technology of the same color that is exactly one more prerequisite.
Yep.
So you're changing your technologies to quote unquote better ones, which in your situation may or may not be better. But could this mean itself?
It could mean itself.
Okay.
So you could replace this with a 2 prerequisite green.
Okay.
And then, of course, you wouldn't be able to do anything with it anymore. But
right.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Where did that come from? Just increasing your technology. I can think of crazy situations to be in. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And the Necro having this?
They can, in fact, have this. Yes.
Okay.
It's almost like the Necro gets a little research if they get this.
Yeah.
Like a real research, a real fake research.
Yeah. Okay, I can see where like the Necro just breaks everything, but
Yep.
If you want to do hydrothermal mining, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Hydrothermal mining at the start of status phase, gain 1 trade good for each ocean card in play. So that can be worth up to 5 trade goods, or it can be worth 0. If the Necro copy it, it's just still number of oceans in play, so it's however many planets the Deep Rot are coexisting on is how many trade goods they get.
Okay. So yeah, that's really nice if you're friends with a lot of people or really good friends with one person, but
Yep.
Okay.
And of course, reading these first couple, it's so easy to be like, oh, we'll just never be friends with the Deep Rot. Like, let's never be friends with the Deep Rot.
That's quickly gonna change.
No, it's quickly gonna change because you're just gonna be like, just kidding, let's be friends with the Deep Rot.
Yeah.
All right.
So the last thing that would have been in the base game would be the promissory note. Do you want me to touch on that next?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so share knowledge. This is a little hint into what the rest of it is going to be. As an action, place this card face up in your play area and gain 1 non-faction, non-unit upgrade technology the Deep Rot player owns. Place that technology on this card. Then return that technology to the deck and this card to the Deep Rot player at the end of the status phase.
Yep. And I do feel like I want to clarify here, just because the question will be asked. You're not taking it from the Deep Rot. You're just gaining it from your own deck.
Okay.
It's your copy of it. You're not taking it away from. But.
Okay. So this is just a temporary second tech. Research agreement kind of. Yeah. Temporary tech.
Yeah, kind of. It's a temporary tech. So it goes away. It's another way of sharing technology that is different than the way that Jolnar does it.
Yeah. Cool. Yep. Go ahead and talk about Dr. Karina then.
Dr. Karina. So Dr. Karina is the would be the
agent.
Wait, did I? Okay, there. For a brief second, I was like, "Oh no, did I give you only the back?" But I found. All right. So Dr. Karina, agent. When another player researches technology, so you can't actually use this agent on yourself. That's by design, of course. You may exhaust this card to allow that player to ignore a prerequisite. If they do, you may place an infantry from your reinforcements into coexistence on a non-home planet they control. So your choice. So you can already see how...
No range restriction.
No range restriction. There's a lot of elements of this game that are really messing tech tree in Thunder's Edge. And Thunder's Edge really is like kind of the technology free for all, and it's not going to be the same by design. Like
Mm-hmm.
you know the breakthroughs, the synergy, the deep rot existing,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
oh my
The
gosh, entropic anomaly, entropic
right.
scar,
Mm-hmm.
are all serving to make things to to actually make it so that in a different game there will be different paths, which is something that was achieved in the base game through use of planets with tech specialties,
Right.
but it didn't hit hard enough and that's why psychoarchaeology is the way that it was in POK. And this is just like the next step up from that, basically. So, yes.
Right. And also
So,
double technology prerequisite planets now.
yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So she allows you to basically let somebody else agree to have you coexist on one of their planets. And in return, you get your little planet and they get to, or you get your ocean card. And they get to skip a tech prereq on whatever they're researching.
It's already becoming one of those things where it's like, well, all it is a 1/1. Like,
Yeah.
they just get a 1/1. It doesn't really matter. It's not like it's hurting
Yep.
me. I might as well
Yep.
benefit
Yeah.
from it.
And you should, because they're friendly.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with their hero, but they're friendly. They're friendly.
Yep. All right. You want to research, or you want to read ALO?
ALO. So the Ikaten Kyros? Kyros?
Yep. Ikaten Ikatena is the name of their planet, so it's Ikaten is just like the demonym for someone from Ikatena or whatever.
Okay. When another player spends resources to research a technology, that player may reduce the cost by 1. If they do, gain a commodity or convert one of your commodities to a trade good.
Yep.
This is not limited, so when the technology card pops, everybody gets this option.
Yes.
Wow.
And you can't deny them the option. That's the other thing.
Okay. I do want to say that I did not get the unlock condition. I don't. So. Oh wait, no. Yes, I did. Okay, so I'm sorry. Yes, have an ocean card.
Yep.
Okay, so that's not that hard.
Nope, not at all.
Nope, that's supposed to come in pretty early on. That's very cool.
Yeah.
And it all just happens one after another, so it's like I'm going to get my commodity, then I'm going to convert it, and get another, and convert it.
For anybody that's wants to spend less money, of course, the player themselves may choose not to partake in this.
Mm-hmm.
In which case, you don't get anything. But they may pay full cost, but you cannot deny them the ability to partake in this commander once it's in play. Likewise, if you've given out your alliance.
Oh my gosh. I just had the realization giving out your alliance is ridiculous.
Yeah, so there will be 2 of them in play.
Okay.
And that turns into the absolute it's a game with deep rot is different than a game without deep rot.
Yeah. It's like having a group hug magic deck in a commander game. It's just a different game. It's just like we all just get to do more than what we thought we were going to be able to do, than what we came to the table with.
Yep. And it's funny because there's lots of theorizing about how different the game will feel with the stuff that's already in the game to increase tech options and stuff. And it does feel different, but it actually feels pretty reasonable. But deep rot, that just everything's out the window, changes the rules. It's a completely different game. And
it sounds so exciting.
It's not always in favor of the deep rot either. Like it's wild. Like there is just tech everywhere. Like it's like thematically just the Jolnar making all of their technology open is just basically what happens. So a flood which I guess is kind of thematic because they've got a lot of like water themed stuff. It's just a
Right.
flood of technology.
Yeah, because
Technology in the
the
galaxy.
reference card says floods game with technology. Yes.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
picked up on the joke there.
yeah, yeah.
Very cool. And the hero, go ahead with yeah.
Is that me?
Yes.
All right. So this is wave function collapse. The laws unwritten. So action: purge this card and purge this card and a non-unit upgrade technology you own or from your deck. Then purge all cards with the same name owned by other players and in other players' decks. So you say Gravity Drive is gone. Snap is gone from the whole game. No one has Gravity Drive anymore. It's just
man.
deleted. You don't have Gravity Drive, the enemies don't have Gravity Drive, and nobody has Gravity Drive. Nobody can learn Gravity. Follow up, of course. Then each player that purged a tech they owned researches another tech. So you're not taking a total tech away from them, and they could actually research something better afterwards. But if you know for a fact you need that tech gone, then it's gone. Like, it's out of there.
Yeah, this is almost like thematically I'm imagining the Deep Rot just went to the archives and were like, everybody should have this. And they just open it up and they're just, and the can of worms just like got way too big and they're like, we should probably have not done that. Actually,
yeah, it's always funny because like canonically, I think you look at some of the heroes, and not just this one, but a lot of the heroes are kind of this. Oh, I don't think this happens in the story of TI, because if it does, like, I don't think that. Yeah, some of that stuff is some of the heroes have occurred yet. Maybe they're like possible futures or whatever, or maybe they're part of the dark future that is the Twilight Fall, future.
Yeah.
But like this is definitely one of them. Like rewriting the laws of physics to like just say, oh yeah, this tech doesn't work anymore, and this is like, how does that even work? Like,
I love that you're the one asking this question.
It's definitely verging on it's definitely verging on fantasy, right? Like it's the edge of science fiction where it goes just a little too far, and you're like, yeah, okay. But yeah, so they're pretty cool. It's a very flashy one. That used to a pinpoint can have a great effect.
Yeah, and it's still thematic because it takes it away from themselves, so they're still being like fair about it.
Yeah. So that's the hero. It's
very exciting.
It's a hero.
So
Aeronautic next, the mech.
The mech. Yes. Okay. When another player activates, it's a 2/6 with sustained damage like normal. When another player activates this system, if this unit is coexisting, you may move it and any of your infantry on this planet to a planet you control in your home system. So that's its ability. It's basically an escape button for it. But the real ability on it is Production 1.
It also has Production 1, yeah.
So I would say that's not like blowing me away with excitement, but it's also like, it's really good to have. It's just numbers wise, just good to have.
Yep. It's a two-parter. It's a mech that is meant for coexistence. It's meant to protect your coexisting units, and it's meant to be able to be utilized to turn your coexistence into a threat. Because coexistence generally starts as, not one unit or one known quantity of units that's landing. But then if the Eunautics involved, then it has production, and that's scary because then that could turn into more units, and more units is scary. And then suddenly, what if you don't want to coexist anymore? Planet. Sure, you'll lose your ocean card, but now you have like a force there, and you could actually turn on your host.
There's a lot of rules questions that come with this, and I'm not going to ask you a lot of them.
It's all explained in the rules.
Yeah. That's cool. I like the escape button too. I just like, That's got a little too hairy.
What else do we have in here?
We have the breakthrough.
And we have the ocean cards. You will probably already have shown those on the.
Yeah, when we're talking about them, I'll have flashed them up on screen one by one so they can see the names.
Yep.
So I think the only thing left is the breakthrough.
All right. Sounds good. Is that me? That is me.
Yep.
All right. Visionary Select. It is a meeting of minds. It's hosted by the Deep Rot. It's a exclusive
fan
congregation
club.
Not fan club. It's a congregation of the greatest minds in the galaxy come to learn from the Deep Rot.
Okay.
Or share their ideas. And so it is a green yellow, and it is an action. Sorry, let me rephrase that. It's a green yellow breakthrough, so the synergy is between green and yellow, and the breakthrough also has this action on it. So the action is exhaust this card to allow each other player to spend 3 trade goods and give you 1 promissory note. That is the cost to attend the Visionary Select, and the Visionary Select can be attended any number of times.
Right.
It's once each time this card is exhausted. So the Deep Rot can continually hold the Visionary. This is an annual, let's say, an annual event.
Mm-hmm.
Each player that does this, each player that spends the trade goods and gives you, may research a non-faction, non-unit upgrade technology. You also gain each technology researched in this way. So it's funny because it's another one of those things where you're just like, oh, no one's going to do that.
Right,
and
but everybody
that's what
wants
I thought.
to.
But then I'm just like, then it comes up, and you're just like, oh, but I could really use gravity drive right now. I can score a point this round, and then you're just like, and it's cheaper. Screw it. 3 trade goods and a promissory note to the Deep Rot. I'll get gravity drive. They get gravity drive. Everyone's happy.
Right, and I'm already coexisting with them, so it's not like they're gonna hurt me. They want their ocean cards.
And sometimes it's true. Sometimes this is pure benefit to, and it really does help the person more. Like I keep saying, like, like this is a sinister thing from the Deep Rot, but a lot of times it gets out of control and it's not the Deep Rot that benefit. So it's definitely something you have to use very strategically when playing the Deep Rot. It's easy to flood and not benefit the right way, but it's activated at the right times. It's awesome. Like this, I'm really happy with how the Deep Rot turned out. They're pretty cool and very unique faction, and I'm very happy because to me, I was like, yes, Twilight Imperium can sustain multiple factions that are based off of the same system, in this case, technology. And they're different than Jolnar. They're very different.
Yeah. It's the opposite of Jolnar, but only kind of, because
they get less benefit. There's a much smaller delta between them and the rest of the table. Like Jolnar has a huge delta. Like they are way above the table.
Right.
Deep Rot will be above the table probably, but they're also bringing the table up with them. But then, of course, their other thing is the oceans and the coexistence. So it's like leveraging their advantages in a different way.
Right. Have you felt like with games with Deep Rot and Jolnar is still a decent amount above everybody?
No, actually. Deep Rot being in the same game as Jolnar hamstrings Jolnar significantly because they no longer have that huge delta. At least that's been my experience.
Okay. That's actually good to know because I feel like in my meta at home, if somebody picks Jolnar, it's like it's pretty much enemy number 1.
Yeah. Well,
And maybe that's just a holdover from the base game, because they did get, a little bit
yeah.
of just light tweaks in Prophecy of Kings, but yeah, there's definitely, like you said, this large gap in between them and
Yeah.
everyone
And
else.
I love the way it's turned out because, of course, these guys are a splinter of Jolnar that disagreed with them, and in the lore, they broke off much to the detriment of Jolnar. Like
Right.
and so the fact that it kind of works like that in the game, that it actually makes Jolnar a little bit worse, is actually very funny to me.
Well, I'm also going to put the reference card up on screen so people can see the starting units and everything, but they don't seem too weird or
No,
out there. It's
no,
very normal fleet.
nothing too crazy in there.
Yeah. I'm okay. So let's close this out.
All right.
Question
Number
10. What is your closing thoughts on the release of this game, which is only a few weeks out as of the posting of this video? And where is your excitement level to get it into people's hands? When/where can we pick up the Thunder's Edge expansion for ourselves? So how excited are you, and where can we find it?
Well, that's when people can actually get it and are playing it, and everything is no longer a question and there's lots of answers. That's when my excitement will hit a 10, and I'll be at a 10 for as long as everybody else is excited, and especially when we start getting like reports of like the original games. As far as where you can get it, oh, I'm not the right person to ask for that. I'm assuming it will just be at your game stores, and I believe there's pre-order, which I'm assuming once the game is released will just turn into a regular order on.
Yeah, you cut out, but on Asmodee. Yep, on Asmodee store,
Yeah.
and I'll put a link to the pre-order
Okay.
in the description.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool.
I'm super stoked, and my excitement level has gone up looking at all this stuff, closely again after having looked at it for a while, because typically I don't, other than trolling Discord and whatnot, I don't interact with TI every day lately. So it's fun to talk about all this stuff in mass, especially going over Deep Rot. I'm excited for Deep Rot.
I'm excited for Deep Rot. I feel like it has a special place with me now that I'm getting to show it off. So
nice. Maybe they'll replace Winu as your favorite.
Yeah, I really hope not, but maybe.
We'll see.
Well, thank you very much for being on. It was
awesome.
Great talking to you.
Likewise.
And we will see more of you after Thunder's Edge comes out. Also, if you'd ever want to be on the show again, please reach out. It's great having you.
Likewise, let me know. I'm always happy to drop in.
All right, cool. Well, I'll say goodbye now. Pax Magnifica, Bellum Gloriosum.